Hello, beautiful people. I want to give you a quick breakdown of what Pastor James Blewett and I talked about. I'm giving the helicopter view. I'll put some C's in it if need be. And then you can give me or ask me all the questions you want later on, either via the YouTube, so we can look at it that way, or we can discuss it at the church, or we can make a meeting for this. Have a follow-up meeting with him next Thursday at 2 o'clock to determine the steps forward. I'm not certain which way to go yet. I do have an idea, but I do want to get information from you. I ask that you also pray and be thinking on what's the best thing for us overall. So I've been dividing in three things. First, the overall things we talked about. Second, if we merge. And third, if we stay separate but we partner. He says $400 a month will be for the rent, which is peculiar because the $400 a month for rent is really for Bloomingdale. And as we were talking, he started saying Riverview. I said, so it's a change. Will we be in Riverview or will we be in Bloomingdale? And he said, well, definitely would be in Riverview, which is fine. He said that there's about 112,000 people there. And taking the same numbers that they use from the North American Mission Board, saying that there's 17,000 people here in Brandon. And about 40% said that they're not church, which will mean, in truthfulness, there's more people who say they're church but aren't. So they're thinking roughly 40,000 people. Same thought process, 40,000 people will be maybe unchurched there in Riverview. So there's a great pool of people to talk to. He said we can use the facility they have any day. It doesn't make a difference, but it's a school, and said there'll still be about $100 a day on averaging if they have someone that come in registered, like an assistant principal, to be there. There are a few ministers they have already in the Riverview campus, and think that it'd be some young minister that need some growing and opportunity, and hopefully those young men will become better preachers than we ever have been. He said that we're working it so that at my campus, and that kind of threw me off a little bit, my campus, meaning C4, that I preach at least 75% of the time. So my radar went out, and I said, and I'll talk about it as we get towards the end. He said a good way of reaching out to that community in Riverview. And I understand too, we have a community wherever we are, as well as currently as constructed. We have a community in the Palm River, Claremore area, as well as Tampa and Tampa proper. They have a Spanish ministry that will be starting there at the Riverview campus sometime next year. It'll be the same time period we're in, where we're doing our service. If it would be 9:30 to 11, but it'll be another area. And currently we'll be at the 9:30 slot. There's a guy there in the campus now who has a trailer, and they're doing some food pantry type things, but like to do it on a bigger scale. And Pastor Blewett said that may be something good for us, since that we were doing that in the past. And I said, well, our construction is a little different than it was before. So we can't just say, well, in the past, we gotta go about what we do now personally. One guy, he's a doctor, and he does a medical clinic once a quarter, and thinking possibly increase that so those in the community can have access to that. Also, that we may do two different messages twice a year, in January and August. August, when people are coming back home from vacations, kids are preparing themselves for school. In January, some people say this time to look for the future. I told you I think our year starts in April, because that's when we were formed. I understand that in the calendar is January of the year, but our year is March. It is April. Really can be March. I thought that's a good idea. Some things if we went that way, and I'm gonna correct my numbers. 107,000 people in Riverview and 112,000 in Brandon. Although we won't be in, well, you need to know too much about what happened in the Brandon campus. But he said there's a guy named James Field. He's their current youth pastor. And so he's there and paid on the staff. And he said that the youth ministry could continue with ours. I told him, as we have right now, we really depend on two families. And they're a bit inconsistent and come in all the time, at least the youth that is. He says, so I asked the question then, I said, is it a partnership or is it a merger? Because then the context changed then. And he said, what do you want it to be? I said, it's your presentation, you tell me, and then think on, pray on, and talk to my leadership staff. One thing he mentioned too, that they have a recovery church, and they meeting out in Maple Street Bakery over there in Brandon. And what that church does have people who have been recovering different kind of drugs, alcohol, and the guy who they marketing it after like another guy who actually had a ministry with that, but keeping the 7 steps, 11 steps from the AA, Alcohol Anonymous. But this, now that they no longer have God in it, they say higher power, and higher power could be the group. Well, this with the recovery church, it's with a focus with God and what they're using, but also using God as the main source. Then we moved over to so here's the merger. He said we be some of the benefits of merging will be we'll no longer be C4. We have one bank account. It's easy for advertising. The North American Mission Board will pay me $1,250 a month for the first year, $1,500 for the second year, and $1,250 a month every other year. For the third and fourth year to supplement whatever you guys will pay, plus a $10,000 stipend. To be honest with you, that's chump change. That's not what. If you go and look at what they really members from a 50 member or down church, they're looking at about $60,000 a year to $70,000 a year. And those who have a $70,000 to $100,000 church, 100 member church, roughly $100,000. Then those with a doctorate degree, a little bit higher. How much more experience you have, and go a little higher. So, but this is something used as a stipend. They have a marketing because they had marketing now for 2 years. You need to remember they started a church, but really came out of another church, and that bigger church was actually funding them and assisting them through the whole process. So they had an umbrella through all the times while we didn't. So the thought process is different. I'll pause for a second. And the pastor appreciation yesterday, Dr. Winton, he's now the North American Mission Board president. Previously, he was Idlewild pastor. He did a great thing on being you talk about Samuel. He said that it's 2 types of pastors: the battler and then the builder. The battler is the one who taken the church from the beginning, and the one who was the builder get all the praises, and they're like, oh, it's great how church is. And he thought about it. He said, well, he actually got the praise because he helped build the church to what it was. But he said really was his little old small time pastor, didn't have anything at all, who kept walking up and down the property that they have. And he said, Lord, one day let it be a church here. He never got to see the vision, but he wanted to usher everything in. So I said it to you that although they can market the church, they can't market who we are. We're C4 for a reason. Yes, we have roots in other denominations, other churches, but as we have been walking together for the last 19 months, we're developing our identity. And I told you that back in April of 2022, I think it's the 20th, something like that. I said, we're creating our own DNA. What we have that day won't be what we have later. It'll take a while for us to get a battle rhythm. So that could just be in your back of your mind. Then he said that with the marketing, they use Google reviews. Had never thought about us doing that, but it brought people to that particular community because they have their members or visitors. Please go in, and how do you feel about the church? And I think that's something we can do. But cons, he said that. Open after the Bell Show. He said maybe some cons because we may not be open to it because of what happened in the Bell Show incident and the C4 identity. I guess I jumped the gun. But this is the path of least resistance. I think one other thing could be the new identity could be a con, as well as the distance from where we are right now. If we did a partnership, we'll keep up same ID, our money stay the same, everything stay the same. We won't be any confusion. There will be confusion when we do things together. Are we C4 or are we East? Extraordinary Church Riverview. But with that partnership, we get to keep the youth ministry, and we don't have to pay him because their church, as well as the other churches that back them, will be paying him. And then we'll need to get. Oh, and while I thought about that, then I have pushed away from being paid for a while because I wanted our coffers to be, well, get stronger and and get built up before worry about the bill and maybe getting paid. In a sense, I have the joy, the luxury, the honor to preach. And so for me, and I haven't said this to you before, I don't really know about the paying part. You know, I understand the necessity of it, I understand the bills, I understand the tax implications, but I want to worry about our church building first, and that's more of a priority. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's a point I made in my notes, so I said it to you. Now I gave you a fire hose for you. You should be in a little straw to sip out of, so it's a lot. Look at it again, review it, ask me any questions you want to. I'll ask you to do on that string on the video. That way everyone can look at it and make their comments also, and they may have the same question you have. Well, that's it for now. I will be praying on it, thinking on it, and I have for the last 3 hours now, but also 2.5 hours, sorry. But also I think I'm going to fast on it because I want to ensure that we'll be led right. There's benefit both ways. But I'll tell you, like I told Pastor Blewett, I said all money is not good money. Everything that shimmer isn't gold. Not that what you have is not gold, and not what you have is good, but I know if it's good for us. And I got to make sure that what we do be good for us. I remember clearly February 28th when I found out whether we would be disbanded, and I walked the next day around the campus. I remember saying clearly, God, I'll lead these people if you want me to. And with that, that means that I had to do the best of my ability, not what I think or I want. That's why we got the phrase, His will, not our way. Blessing. I love you, beautiful people. Now please pray. Don't go with your opinions and your emotions. Keep that fire, but listen to His Spirit so we know we're doing the right thing. Bless you.